Today we have the plaintiff with a 25th Amendment case. What to do about crazy leaders? Go ahead, Andrew.
Okay, hi everybody. Well, I first want to talk just a little bit about the leadership, the idea of the leadership that we have, and then I'm going to go on into the 25th Amendment and talk about some things, some changes possibly that will work with it, and then at the end we'll consider whether how Trump could be tried under this 25th Amendment case. The first thing I kind of want to say is that we're talking about the U.S. Constitution right now, but what we have a sort of a strange, a curious case where we set some people through some little trials, tests and trials, and then we elect one of them. And we elect one of them, and then from then on we say, right, we're going to do what you say. Everything you say, we're going to do. You're the person who's informing us, and we're just going to do those things. Well, that seems to me to be very much like a king or or an authoritarian a recipe for authoritarianism. We can dress up the process using two houses of elected representatives and everything, but at the end of the day, we have one person, and we have to do what they say. And it seems a weird form of leadership that after 12,000 years from the Younger Dryas, 20,000 years of social development, and this is the best we can do for how to manage the society. We appoint one person, and then we do what they say. I think when we go back to the sort of founding fathers, the impression is that they thought that being the president was the highest occupation you could aspire to. And because it was the highest level of sort of human capability and prowess, as it were, intellectual and spiritual and everything prowess, it was worthy of respect. But now we're in a kind of position, have been in a position for a while, that we've appointed people and we have to do what they say, but they don't seem to perform these activities that require our respect. And I'm talking about Trump here a little bit. So there's something slightly wrong with when we think of the 25th Amendment as being the offering the capability to get rid of a leader, someone whom we have to do what they say, only until the point comes when we don't want to do what they say. The 25th Amendment doesn't really supply enough of a reason, really, to get rid of a person, because we've already accepted that we have to do what they say. And then we say, well, wait a minute, we're only going to do some things of what they say, or what they're saying, just doesn't make any sense now, but of course it might make sense later. So the 25th Amendment doesn't really give us any grounds. So I'm saying I don't think it's a very good option to get rid of leaders just using this vague idea that if enough people don't want a president to continue, then that's a sufficient means to get rid of it, get rid of the president. And the problem here also is that the way the 25th Amendment is set up is that it's all those people appointed by the president, all those enablers, all those people, supporters of the president, have now got to turn around and be traitors, as it were, to the president and try and impeach him. Well, this seems to be, it's going to provide a natural break on introducing the idea of impeaching a president through the 25th Amendment, because are these people going to turn around and be traitors, as it were, to the person they had originally supported? This seems unlikely to me. And and there's another question too about if we do appoint a leader, then it's quite possible the leader may be further sighted, have better vision than all of us, and will start making decisions that are beyond what's called the Overton window. This Overton window is a kind of a range of decisions, a range of ideas around a sort of average, beyond which people simply don't understand. it's quite an interesting sort of concept because we can play around with changes and differences and different kinds of decisions, but only within a short range. If you go beyond it, then people just say, I don't understand what this is, this doesn't make any sense, this is wrong, and so forth. So it's perfectly possible that you might have a president who is making decisions beyond the Overton window that nobody can understand, but they are in fact end up being good ones. I'm thinking like now in this way of Truman, President Truman. I mean, a person who really took the post of president extremely seriously. He made a lot of decisions that people kind of grumbled about at the time, but later on, now we look back on his presidency and begin to see the wisdom of some of the things that he did. So he was happy. People were happy to see him go when he left the presidency. He retired with his wife on his army pension. He hadn't made any money out of the presidency. He had to, in fact, take a loan in order to buy his house, I believe. Completely modest man who's completely in faith and sincere in the role of the presidency. Now, and he was making far-sighted decisions. So under the 25th Amendment, someone who's making far-sighted decisions that nobody can understand might be grounds for getting rid of him, but they're the wrong kind of grounds. So what we need to do, I believe, to make the 25th Amendment work is that we need to supply it with some amendments itself, some addendums to it. And here I'll just bring up this. I don't know, can everybody see that? I think to make the 25th Amendment work, to get rid of leaders, we need to have some proper grounds, and they have to be written in. And I'm suggesting five grounds here, reasons to reach. The first one is cruelty. I think this is quite an important one because the president of any country is representative of one's basic sort of spiritual sort of depth and profundity. And I think being cruel is very much anti-sophisticated application of sort of human values. And I think it's cruelty at home against members of your own country, and of course cruelty to other people abroad. I think this is quite an important one that we should bear in mind. The second thing I think is profiteering, and I think this is really quite an important one too, because if a president is making decisions for his own profit, he's not making decisions for the good of the country as a whole. And one of the ways the president doesn't have to profiteer for himself, he profiteers for all his coterie of friends and enablers around him in order to keep him in power. So, and all of that is completely against, I think, the founding fathers' intention of the president acting for everybody, for the whole country, and to ensure that all the decisions he makes are made for the good of everyone and for the good of the country. The third point here is not protecting or undermining the Constitution. I think this is very serious grounds for impeachment. If a president is behaving as if the Constitution didn't matter, or that it didn't respect what the Constitution was, then I think this would be grounds for impeachment. An example of this would be, packing the Supreme Court with people who are going to support your particular selfish policies, or packing the Supreme Court with individuals who are very much at odds with the body of thought of the country as a whole. Choosing judges who are not competent for their role, I think, just simply because they're political friends or so forth. That is undermining the Constitution, in my view. And one can think of other reasons. Not protecting, protecting the system of the balance of powers in the state between the three branches of the executive. Not respecting that's undermining the Constitution as well, and that could be grounds for impeachment. The fourth one is health. By health, of course, I include mental health, but physical health too. It's very important that that the president be in their full powers. It's a very interesting case at the end of the Second World War when the three main leaders of the winners of the Second World War, Soviet Russia and Britain and the US. Well, two of those leaders, Winston Churchill and Roosevelt, were not in their best health when they were trying to make just post-war decisions, Potsdam Conference and all the rest of it. I think you've got to have people who are healthy and emotionally stable in order to run the country. And if that health, mental health, physical health, starts to fall apart, then I think you really need to get rid of them. And the fifth reason here is treason. Well, yes, treasonous behavior. I mean, what is treasonous behavior nowadays? Well, it's more to do with undermining one's allies, I think. The you can make decisions that help your enemies. I mean, ideally, we're not to have enemies, but it can also make decisions that undermine allies. For example, I mean, NATO. NATO are a great ally of United States. The United States is trying to dissolve that partnership. Is that treasonous behavior? Well, maybe. It's because it's opening up for a different kind of relationship with other countries around the world, which may in fact be undermining the US and in its undermining the quality of life and the intentions and all the things that it holds dear. There is an argument here, of course, that you can unwittingly make decisions, foreign policy decisions that help your enemies, but I think even unwittingly or not, decisions that help your enemies are reasons for impeachment. Now, let's think about Trump with these five reasons. I would say he seems guilty for cruelty. I would say his the ICE protocols that of getting rid of all the immigrants and things. I think that's cruel. It's basic cruelty is being perpetrated on individuals, on families, on children. Also, executing the current war with Iran. He's targeting civilian complexes. Many civilians have been killed. This is just cruelty. This is just poor. It's lacking in any kind of understanding, lacking in any kind of sort of sympathy, human sympathy for other people. And I think conducting a war in this cruel manner would be. One could make a case that Trump is doing this. To profiteering, well, we know he's profiteering for himself, but he's even doing more than that. His new token is supposed to be a stable coin that he's created, his family has created, he and his family has created, is a way of stealing money out of the US Treasury. What they do is that they create stable coins, which he just gives to people, and then individuals use their body of stable coins to borrow US dollars on the basis of that, because it's supposed to be a stable coin. And the fees for doing that borrowing go straight into Trump and his family's pocket, not into the US Treasury, which should be what happens to when people borrow dollars from the government. So I think on that profiteering, he's clearly guilty, and it should be impeached for that. So 3, not protecting or undermining the Constitution. Well, I've already mentioned a few cases like that, appointing the wrong judges, and trying to his pretense that the elections are fraudulent, all that sort of thing. That's just undermining the Constitution. He's ignoring the powers of Congress, which is they're all trying to. When conducting the war in Iran, for example, he never asked for permission. He never got Congress's approval, and he's just simply ignoring Congress, really. And that is, to me, is undermining the Constitution. 4, his health, Trump's health. Well, Trump's health, how bad is it? It's hard to say. They seem to keep him going pretty well, but he is too old. And we certainly had the case with Biden. Biden should have was way too unhealthy for the conduct of his presidency. And I think these we need to take this into account. People at the age of getting on for 80 are too old. Their reaction time, their memories, their fixations on all sorts of different things can be very unhealthy, and we need to do something about that seriously. So Trump is guilty for poor health and treason. Well, he does seem to be, lots of people have mentioned, you see it in the media, is Trump a Russian asset? Because every decision he seems to be making favors Russia. And possibly, although there is some kind of battle with China, he's beginning to invite China in now to the US to to invest in the US. Is this treasonous behavior? I'm reminded for no particular the reason that many years ago in the 13th century, King John of England was such a terrible king, and he lost all his money and everything like that. And there was a time when he wanted to sell parts of England to Arab investors. And you believe that? It didn't actually happen. But nevertheless, when if you're profiteering and you're making all sorts of mistakes in warfare, then it's too easy to make decisions that are essentially treasonous just to keep you going or to save your position. So I think Trump is, if he hasn't actually committed treason, he's very, very, very close to it. So if these were added to the 25th Amendment, I think it makes it much easier for everyone to see when it comes to voting, when it comes to impeaching Trump, that there is a very good case to answer in a number of different areas. So I think that's all I will say on that. So, Juror 1, would you like to give your summary now or at the end?
I'll go first.
Okay.
And I think I told you, sometimes I'll just Google the accusations to see what AI has to say.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that in your case. So I kind of put that in the boxes. Hopefully you can see, I don't know, I'm sure you probably read it. But overall, I totally agree with you. I agree with your case. There's just so many things I want to say, I could say, and it's just so frustrating for us living here under his rule, his reign. I mean, it's like a reign of every day, it's just something else, and he's up all night.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I definitely think the Baker Act, when he's in Florida, I mean, he is showing all types of kinds of being a danger to himself or others. And yeah, he bypasses Congress for everything.
Yeah.
And then we also have Project 25 that laid the blueprint for most of what he's doing that, you know, a lot of people didn't pay attention to. So I'm just hoping that, and you're right. I mean, we have tried to impeach him before. I mean, you know, this is his second term, and he's got enablers. So they enabled him to do what he's doing. They allow him to do this. The Republicans, his party allows this. They totally enable it because everyone is profiting off of it. And it's a big free for all them. They're getting richer and richer. And it's off the backs of the poor and the disabled. The least amongst us, they're stealing from,
Yeah.
you know, and people are becoming homeless because of what they're doing. There's not enough affordable housing, number one, and they kind of created the problem we have in a lot of ways. But what I worry about is people are just getting too complacent and people aren't standing up. You know, everybody needs to stand up, not just one party. Both parties have got to stand up and fight it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it may be the case. I mean, I hope it's the case that Trump's presidency is going to help us reset. You know, we suddenly come to our senses and realize what what we've been doing and getting.
And what we don't want. This should show us exactly what we don't want.
Yeah.
In the presidency for our country.
Exactly.
Because it's brought back the worst of everything: racism, I mean, just the disabled are so shattered. I do a lot of advocacy for people with disabilities.
Mm-hmm.
They're cutting fundings to get people from nursing homes back to the community. A lot of the work I do is trying to get people back to their community.
Right.
And I'm scared to death he's going to cut that, because he's cut so much funding. There were waiting lists to get, back to the community, waiting lists to stay in the community. Now there's waiting lists for these nonprofits, like for their kids to get voc rehab technical services to go to work and school. You know what I mean? It's the domino effect here.
Yeah.
People weren't even prepared for. They didn't even think about how it would affect long range.
No, that's exactly right. The cumulative effect of all of this is devastating. Yeah.
And it's going to take years to fix that. You can't just fix this stuff in the blink of an eye. And basically, he's ran the country with executive orders.
Yeah.
He's bypassed Congress. He's bypassed all the safeties that our forefathers put in place. And he's running the country with executive orders and pardoning people that are hardened criminals.
That's right. That's another point. Yes. Yeah. Yeah,
So that's pretty much what I have. But if you read in my boxes, but the main thing AI said was using the 25th Amendment to remove a president is designed for incapacity. Making its use against a functioning president is a controversial precedent. While supporters argue it addresses unfitness for office, critics fear it politicizes a tool meant for medical crises, potentially creating a constitutional crisis. But I think we have all of it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure that's actually correct about incapacity, because as I read the 25th Amendment, the president, it starts off with half his cabinet and the vice president report to the Speaker of the House that they want to take over. And then the president has right of reply in 4 days. So he can still fight for his position. If you see what I mean? He's not going to be completely out of the picture.
Right. And then also, then we have to deal with J.D. Vance if we would be able to get him out. So we might be better off just to let it be and run the clock out, because hopefully the Democrats will take over the House and the Senate, and then we got it. You know what I mean? It's all gravy from there.
Well, that's right. But, I am a kind of believer.
Anything can happen,
Yeah, believer in the ballot box, getting these people out, rather than trumped up, excuses.
He's taking the voting rights. They're gerrymandering.
Yeah,
we're fighting to get people to the voting rights. They're trying to take the mail-in votes. The disabled and elderly and our veterans depend on those mail-in votes.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. I mean, all of this is to say, yes, about he's fiddling with the Constitution. He's behaving cruelly towards his own people, as it were. Yeah, I mean,
people are dying. We'll never know the amount of people that have died from his policies.
No, that's right.
That's sad. But anyway, I didn't mean to monopolize, but good case. Really good case.
All right. Hello. So, Juror 2, can we...
Hi, Plaintiff. I can hear you.
Great.
While I was listening to you, I think my answer or my summary contradicts with what you were saying. I think I didn't understand the topic very well, but I'll just share my opinion currently. Okay. Do you think Trump went back to be a president because of the loan that he took to pay his house?
Oh, the loan he took to pay, say again?
The loan that he took to buy a new house. Do you think he went back to be a president because of that financial problem?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Maybe I didn't explain that well. That's I'm talking about a previous president called Harry Truman, who was absolutely. I mean, he did a lot of things that people disagreed with, but he was a completely modest and sincere a president. And when he finished, he left. He didn't make any money out of it. All he had was his army pension to live on, which wasn't enough to buy his house. So he got a loan.
Oh, okay.
Contrast that afterlife president to Trump. Very
Okay,
different. Yeah.
Thank you
And
for
they have to pay
clarification.
for their food and stuff in the White House. I was reading an article, I think it was Michelle Obama. The president and the first lady, they have to pay for their stuff in there. Like, it's not a free ride in there, which I was surprised by that. I mean, I thought that it was all paid for, which I would have thought it would be, but they don't. So, I mean, I'm sure Trump found a way to get around it. But
Well, it is
yeah.
because he goes to Mar-a-Lago and the government pays for that.
Mhm.
So
But I was talking about like the food when they're in the White House and stuff. The
Yeah,
Obama said they paid for all that.
it's true. I didn't know that actually. But
And
that's
when they
interesting.
travel, if their children traveled on Air Force One, they had to pay for their children to travel. So I bet Trump's breaking all those rules because he don't pay for nothing.
No. Yeah, no,
He makes
he's
money off of it. Not only does he not pay, he makes money off of whatever he touches. So
yeah. Well, yeah. Except let's hope he doesn't make the U.S. bankrupt, which he did with his other casinos.
I think we're close, Andrew.
Yeah.
I mean, we're still looking at what did Elion do to Social Security and Medicaid. They're finding all kinds of stuff. Like, he cut stuff he shouldn't have cut that really wasn't DEI. Like, they just put a bunch of programs in the computer with those trigger words, and anything that popped up, they cut the grants on.
Yeah.
And even when people over them were saying, no, that's not DEI, that's this, they were ruthless about it. They just cut it all off. So I don't know.
Well, that was Musk, but then Musk.
Right. But that's what I mean. Remember, he came in and totally, like, I don't even know how. I didn't know if, like, our pensions are going to get cut off. We don't know. They haven't fixed everything Musk has done, is what I'm saying. We don't know how deep that went.
Yeah.
And he shouldn't even have been allowed in there to do anything.
Well, no, exactly. It wasn't. I mean, Congress should have appointed. That was Congress's job, is to appoint the oversight of all these programs, all these things.
Pilfering too. He profited too with all his contracts for his space stuff.
Yeah.
Basically, our government's been raped and pillaged by Trump and Elion and whoever else is in there, Stephen Miller.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we're bankrupt, Andrew. I think he totally ran us into the ground.
Well, yeah, he's anyway. His token scheme looks like it's probably going to fail, but still, it was an attempt to literally take money out of the U.S. Treasury and put it in his pocket.
Right.
Which is just and nobody says anything. That's the extraordinary thing.
And the Bitcoin, I think, is a Ponzi scheme. I mean, I've watched that all along. This Bitcoin and all that. That's a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah. They're
trying to create another currency with this stuff, and it's not. It's not a currency. Nobody will take that. Maybe some people on the internet might take it, but you can't go into a store and use that as money.
No.
Nor would I want to.
Yeah. Well, it's just online. It's like gambling, online speculation. That's all.
Yes.
And
but people that aren't educated enough, can lose their life on that. They can lose their livelihood. They
can, yeah. No, that's right. They're and of course there are no controls, no real controls. I mean, there's a few. The Securities Commission, does its best, but Trump has slackened off all controls on cryptocurrency generally.
Right, that's what I was thinking of, cryptocurrency, because it's not just Bitcoin. There's a whole bunch of it.
Yeah. What's so curious is the depth of his corrupt vision.
I know.
Has penetrated the entire fabric of the U.S.
It's horrible.
It really is, yeah, shocking.
I'm glad you did the case on it because, it's a hard subject, especially with some of our moderators, because some of our moderators still support him. And that, that's a difficult case to moderate.
Yeah. Well,
I think, because I don't know, but I just I try to just not when he comes on the TV, I just turn the channel.
oh, I know. God. Well, it's going to be interesting to see how the moderators deal with their 25th Amendment cases, as you say, because there's a broad range of theories and beliefs here. Well, okay, so juror 3.
Two. Oh,
Hi.
it's Juror 2.
Hello, I can hear you.
For personal opinion, honestly, whatever that is currently happening, I think it's a sign for me that nobody's above anybody, and maybe karma has found its place or location. Sorry. Although many people worry about the effects of President Donald Trump's leadership, some countries may benefit from the changes happening in the global politics as the United States focuses more on its own interests. Other nations are becoming more independent and less dependent on American influence. Some of African countries that are currently trying to strengthen their own economics, building new partnership, and making decisions that better or suit their own needs as nation, and also developing a stronger local industries and trade relationship with nearby countries instead of relying heavily on the USA. And that's it. According to me, that's independency and self-reliance in different parts of the world. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, juror 3. Juror 4? Do we have juror
No,
5?
it was Jura 2. It was Jura 2. Now it's Jura 3.
Haven't we just done juror 3?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. Please go ahead.
I think Juror 2 came back to finish.
Ah. Okay, juror 3?
Well, I think using the 25th Amendment to the United States Constitution or impeaching Donald Trump could increase political division and weaken trust in government if it is done mainly because of political disagreement instead of inability uh, to lead or clear wrongdoing. These processes were created for serious situations, not for normal political conflict. If they are used too easily, it could set a bad example for the future and make people feel like leaders can be removed and fail. Thank you.
But juror 3, I take what you say. It's good points. But do we not need some kind of method to get rid of leaders who start behaving in a manner we don't want them to behave in? Or do you think we just have to accept, once we've chosen a leader, we just have to accept what they do? Because otherwise the process of selecting leaders would be undermined. Is that what you're saying? Hello, juror 3?
Oh, hi, Maud.
Sorry, did you hear what I said?
No.
Oh. Well, I'm just saying that do you think the process of choosing leaders is sacrosanct and we can't really undermine it by then changing our minds halfway through?
Yes.
Okay. Juror 5?
Hi, Matt.
Hi.
I would like to give my opinion. When a leader acts crazy or unfair, the best move is to stay calm, check the facts, and use peaceful ways to push back instead of reacting with anger. Use tools like voting, peaceful protests, and speaking how to hold them accountable. For example, in 1986, people in the Philippines used peaceful protests to remove president. Then, in South Africa, people peacefully protested apartheid laws until they were changed. And in the US, civil rights marches helped in unfair racial laws. Thank you.
Okay, yes, I do agree that the ballot box is the best way, but if you have limited opportunities to use the ballot box, then some other method
Well, and we
probably has
have
to
been
go.
protesting. I mean, we've had international protests. I'm impressed with the United States. We have continued. I protested him when he was first elected. I went to DC and marched 12 hours. There was a 500,000 people in DC that day.
Right.
His inauguration.
Yeah.
So I'm proud of our people. We're protesting. I think we just had one for May Day. But we also had citizens shot in Minneapolis by ICE for protesting. We lost 2 citizens.
Yeah.
It's a great risk when you protest. I'm trying to get the poor disabled people in wheelchairs to protest in my state. They go to DC and they get arrested in their wheelchairs because they're trying to take their housing and put them in nursing homes, put them back in institutions. They were left out of the civil rights marches, and that's a good point. I'm impressed about our civil rights, but he's taken the civil rights away. Everything we fought for, he's taking from the poor, disabled, and the people that are infringed. So the only thing left is we can eat them because we have no food. We have no housing. We're just going to have to eat them. We're going to have to eat the rich. I think that's the solution.
Well, I don't know. It might all be too grisly.
Kidding, but but I mean, what's a person to do? I'm not in that position, but I could be. You know what I'm saying? Because as you get older, you get more disabled, and you become a lot of times on a fixed income, and then you run into ageism and all this other stuff because you might have a really great brain, but people don't want to hire you because you're old.
Yeah.
So we get it coming and going. And then when you have a president like him, people give up hope. It's easy to give up hope when everything you have to support you to stay alive is taken from you.
No, that is a really good point, and that's also the cue for the Democrats to get off their butts and do something too.
Absolutely, and you know what? I'm critical of them because they make mistakes, and we have to hold everybody accountable.
Yeah.
Including our own party. And I think a lot of times people just go along. And I think also people really don't understand politics. It takes you quite a while to, that's a learning curve to really understand politics if you haven't been involved in it your whole life.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. It takes courage, but it also takes, administration and, communication and everybody and, protesting. But, it's happening around the world. The manifestations against, governments are just being undermined everywhere by authoritarianism. It's hard to know exactly what to do.
Well, I think people are just trying to survive it. That's we've just kind of hunkered down and we're just trying to survive it as best we can.
Yeah.
If we can survive it, we'll come out the other side because we know that he's not forever. We know it's temporary. That's how we survive it. We know it's only temporary. Eventually he'll be out.
That's a good cry. Trump is not forever. Yes.
All right, it's survival, it could make me crazy. That's how bad I hate the man. And I don't want to hate, but I hate what he does to people. I've never seen such cruelty.
Yeah.
And that office he desecrated. That office and that White House, that's our house. That is the people's house. He is just there as a figurehead. And he has desecrated the office of the United States, the presidency. It'll never be the same.
I know. You see, you see that he wants the public now to pay for his ballroom, having claimed that he had sponsors and it was all going to be a private deal. He now wants the government to pay.
And it's historical. That should not have been touched. That is a historical landmark built by slaves.
I know, and nobody says anything.
Oh,
You know, a few commentators make the remarks, but I mean, nobody. I don't know. It's
bulldozes through it with, you know, what he does works because they allow him, but he does it and then he takes the consequences. That's how he's ran his life, the past couple of years. He just goes through like he's a bulldozer, and there's never consequences for him. There's never consequences.
No, never.
That's
never.
the problem right there. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to monopolize, but you know how I feel. I mean, I can't. So yeah, to keep my sanity, that's how I deal with it, and that's how I try to help people.
No, it's good. I'm enjoying listening to you. So anyway, let's go to Juror 6.
Good evening.
Hi.
I would like to give a summary, sort of an opinion of mine. I think 25th Amendment has clearly stated that president can be removed temporarily or permanently in a case of death, resignation, and or incapacity. And we have seen not only people who live in the US, but the surrounding countries as well as the African continent, because you are not the only people who are suffering from his decisions. We are also suffering, especially people who are in the healthcare system, because I think those are the most vulnerable people who a lot of people don't consider when they are defending the decisions that Donald Trump is making in regards to the citizens and everybody. I also think that he has a form of support or enablers who are now trying to dispute his incapacity, saying that it's political disagreement, which is, I think, from my perspective, it's not that important if it now implicates people and it affects people's rights, because his decisions are just implicating everybody, and in a very, very bad way. I can see that United States is slowly declining, and there are things that we relied on the United States on. Even as nurses, we relied on jobs abroad because we knew that the United States is strong in those departments. But now it's very confusing for everyone. I think it also says in the 25th Amendment that the cabinet can declare the president unfit, but then the term is left so broad that we cannot now narrow it down in terms of what he is doing currently. Maybe we can, but we could have a lot of people who are disputing it because it's very broad. Thank you.
Yes, I think you're right. It is very broad, and I think it does need to be specified more clearly, the grounds for impeachment. Okay, Juror 7.
Oh, hi everyone. I would like to give a short summary.
Okay.
So I think that using the 25th Amendment to the United States Constitution to remove Donald Trump will be a significant constitutional action, and it remains controversial because there are people who think that the amendment exists to address situations where a president is unable to fulfill the duties of office, while others believe that using it outside of clear medical incapacity could create a dangerous precedent for future political conflicts. Because the process requires approval from the vice president, cabinet, and potential Congress. So it was designed to be difficult and can be used only in extraordinary circumstances. Thank you.
Thank you, Juror 7. Juror 8.
Hi, I'm just gonna give my shortest summary here. I do think politically it can be dangerous because according to the 25th Amendment, president can be removed from his duties as he is not fit, like health-wise, to perform his duties, like whenever he had maybe severe medical emergencies. So right now, I just wanna find out if like because I can see that Donald Trump's he's been medically condemned that his condition is chronic venous in I don't know insufficiency. So I want to know if that can also be a valid reason to remove him from his presidency according to the 25th amendment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Juror 8. Now, I'm just going to very quickly, I'm going to share the screen again and go through my verdicts just to show you what I was thinking when I was doing this case. So, is it the truth? Yes, I said it's dangerous because without removing his enablers who also have to turn on him, you are strengthening the case for yet more elitism and emboldening his handlers, who will have no excuse to behave ethically going forward. So is it the whole truth? I said yes, that the ballot box is the only way to remove the entire class of enablers, which I do believe to be true. Is it nothing but the truth? I said yes. There are no hidden qualifications to the statement. It expresses the truth, which is, it is a dangerous precedent to remove President Trump using the 25th Constitutional Amendment as it stands. What is the deceit? There's no deceit. Is the deceit or truth intended? Yes, it would be a precedent that did not punish those truly responsible, the precedent being to getting rid of it, using the 25th Amendment as it stands to get rid of Trump. It doesn't punish those truly responsible, all his enablers and the people also profiting from his actions. What is the motivation behind the truth or lie? The motivation really is to make us reconsider the meaning of leadership. As I pointed out earlier at the very beginning, we have this strange sort of mixture. We have some sort of democratic representation formed into two houses, and then we have this individual whom we just have to do what he says, or she says, or they say. It's a strange, it is a hangover from the days of kings and sort of the divine right of the authority. I was saying the motivation, it's never a question of a single individual. We should not pretend that it is by ridding ourselves of Trump this way. What is the social acceptability of the truth or lie? I was saying probably the proposition is less accepted than it needs to be. Because people are thinking that the 25th Amendment is a way of getting rid of him. And I'm not sure, A, it's going to work, and B, it's best. But here it is. What label would improve the social acceptability of the truth or lie? The label I'm putting here is revise our notion of leadership. We need to create an anti-coup where we return the leadership to a more balanced democratic method. Okay, so if anybody else would like to say anything, maybe we could end it there.
Does anyone have any questions for the plaintiff about the case? it's probably harder for you guys to understand our politics, but I think some of you made the point. It's affected the whole world what he's been doing, you know, from the tariffs. He took that one guy and his wife right out of their country. I mean, every day it's some shocking thing. All of that's mental illness. That's not normal behavior. Did you see if that country came over here and got him and the first lady and took them back and did that? That's not normal. This is crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Every day with him. I mean, I read Heather Richardson, Cox Richardson. She's a professor on the East Coast. And they break it down for us into layman's terms every day. There's a couple of people that do that. You know, they post so we can understand what he's doing. But like they watch, he's up all night tweeting about Obama. You know, making memes of himself as a crusader, Jesus. You know, I mean, just ludicrous stuff.
It is.
If
But
we
it's
did it be in the asylums, you know, we couldn't get away with what he's doing, nor would I want to, but
it's not really madness, it's just utter self-interest and narcissism.
it's unbecoming to the office for the president of the United States.
I agree.
Or an elected official of anyone. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the etiquette and decorum we've lost, I don't know if we'll ever get that back.
No. Okay, well, look, I'm going to stop the recording here.